Hey guys, so today I'm going to be showing you how to get a great mix in GarageBand. The stuff I'm going to be showing you is the stuff you can apply to a multitude of instruments. It's not really a whole bunch of specific things to put in for your specific guitar or whatever, but it's just really good revelations, I guess, that I've gotten over the course of time learning from other people. And yeah, just take a listen here. This is just all done in GarageBand. There's nothing that I imported or nothing from another thing. So check this out. Okay, so one thing you will note is that I have 4 guitar tracks, but you only heard one riff playing. That's because all these are the exact same riff. This is very important to do this, what I'm going to explain in just a second, because it really fattens up your guitar. God knows why. I mean, I don't know why this works, but it just does, and it sounds really nice. And it's actually a night and day difference against if you were just to do it one track. So like if I just solo in this one track right here, I play this. And then you play the full thing. We'll play all these tracks. Just way more full and wide sounding when you do that. So basically, how you do this is obviously you take your 4 tracks, but the top one you're gonna want to pan to the left all the way, the next one all the way to the right, and then the next sort of like halfway in between the middle and left, and then the next one halfway between the middle and the right. And what that does is it just sort of blends the tracks together, so that they work well together and create that nice full sounding guitar. So obviously my EQ is open already down here. Now, assuming you don't know, I mean, I got confused about this in the beginning, just because of how my brain works, I guess. But this right here, this little dip down here, this is called a high-pass filter. Okay, what that does, it's just there to cut out the lower frequencies. A common misconception is that you want your guitar, especially like in metal and stuff like that, you want your guitar to be really deep and really just like blow you away, and it's not really true. You want to have it to where it sounds like that, but where it's not in these sub 100 frequencies. Because then it starts to drown out the kick drum, which is supposed to be there, and with the bass that's supposed to be there as well, in that below 100 range. So you just cut that out, and tracking it like this really helps with them sounding full and nice, like if you're into metal or whatever. And then up here, this is called a low pass filter. Don't ask me why they're named like that. I mean, they just are. I got confused. I thought they were flipped, but this is called a low pass filter, and that basically cuts out the really high frequencies that again you don't want in guitar, because especially like in distorted guitars, you'll get like a hiss or some sort of weird clicking sound or something like that, and you want to minimize that as much as possible, just to clean it up. You want to have in your mind at all times that the frequency, that you shouldn't have too many things in the same frequency at once. So basically, I cut this out so that the kick drum can have that room to go there, basically. So another thing you're probably wondering is there's nothing else on your EQ? Like, why is there nothing else on there? Well, that's because when I recorded the guitar into it, if you just listen to the dry, this is with no EQ, as you can see. Just listen to this. It doesn't sound half bad. Now, of course, I could definitely play with this more, and I'm going to show you how you can do it for yourself to customize it for your own guitar or bass or whatever. But it came in sounding all right, and with the 4 tracks, it sounds pretty decent. So I didn't really need to do a whole lot. I would normally do some subtle stuff, but it wasn't really super necessary. As you can see, it sounds pretty all right. Okay. Furthermore, if you look at my plugins here, I also have a compressor on each one of these things. Okay, and I'm gonna bring that up here, just so you can see that. This is a little bit. I think this is a little bit different than this actual preset, but this is a preset. This guitar is going to guitar heavy. That's a preset. I might have played with that a little bit, but basically, that's on there because it's sort of okay. Let me start from the beginning. Compressor, basically, the simplest definition I could find was that it makes things quieter. That's the simplest explanation. But the practical use for that is, like, let's say if you have one track, right, and you are playing a rhythm section, and then you switch from the rhythm section to this lead part, okay, and let's say the rhythm was really loud because you're like banging on those strings, like strumming really hard, but then you go to this lead part that's got like some pull-offs or hammer-ons that aren't gonna be as punchy because you're not like strumming as hard, you know. So what the compressor will do, providing that you set it correctly, it will sort of bring down the rhythm section that was loud, and it will allow the frequencies that were quieter to be brought up. So basically, if you look over here, compressor threshold, you can sort of think of this as like your ceiling. Okay, think of a room, and this is your ceiling. And let's say the frequencies are jumping up, okay, in this room. And you want to tell this threshold tells the compressor how tall that ceiling is. And so let's say once the frequencies hit that ceiling, they get squished down by this ratio amount. Okay, so I guess that's the simplest way I can explain it. So this ceiling is negative 22 dB. So once the loudness of this track hits that, it's going to decrease by that much, which is 8.3 to 1, and it's always the 1. So you only have to worry about that first number. This is always at 1. And so that's what that does. After you squish it and you think, well, you're squishing it, how is that making it louder? Well, after you squish it, you will normally bump up the gain so that it brings everything louder. So that before, if you wanted to bring it louder with that lead part louder, the rhythm section would be way too loud. So now this brings down the rhythm section and allows you to bring the whole thing up so that lead part, those parts that were softer, can be heard better. Is very useful tool once you understand that. Very useful. So other than that, I mean, it's not really anything too important. I mean, the attack in the release, which this one doesn't have release, can get kind of important, but they're not as critical as these things. But just use this preset if you're in GarageBand, or if you're just looking at this video to just get ideas, then you can sort of copy this. But yeah, just go to Guitar Heavy, have these settings if if they're a little bit different on your computer. And yeah, so just make sure that when you're recording guitar or bass or anything, that it comes in sounding good or sounding decent. It doesn't have to sound perfect, because that's the point of mastering, is to make it sound good. But it has to sound decent. Okay, as good as it can possibly get from your amp or your effects processor or whatever. So yeah, and you never want to have it in the red. So if I solo this right here, I start playing this. See that little bar? If I kept turning that up, which I don't want to because it'll probably blow up your headphones, but if I kept turning that up, it would eventually get red right there, and that's called clipping, and it'll basically distort the guitar like crazy, and it'll sound horrible. So yeah, you don't want to do that. You never want to record at a point where you see those red marks on anything that you're on, whether you have an interface or you're just going directly into your computer or whatever. If you see that red, back it down a little bit, because it's not supposed to be past that red. Okay, now on to drums. I'm going to show you a side-by-side here, just for a minute. This is the normal drums, this main right here. I do this, I have this main track just to have every note in it, and I save this just in case I want to edit it later or whatever, and then I copy and paste it all the way down here in all these different tracks, cymbals, ride, toms, blah, blah, blah. I do all that, and then I take out all the notes, but the kick, but the snare, but the hi-hat, but the toms, and all that, so that each track I can, each drum I can edit specifically without having to alter the other drums. So here's this main. Okay, there's that. And then you turn these drums on, and listen to this. Okay, so everything's a bit more cleaned up. It sounds a bit better. You can hear the ride more. You can hear the kick more. Is more pronounced. So basically, what you're gonna want to do is do exactly what I said. Split these drums up into each track, and then make an EQ for each one. So I'm gonna go to EQ here, and so every single one of these drums are from the East Bay drum kit. So if you go over here and you go to drum kit, you can go down here and you see East Bay. Just click on that, put these EQ settings in. They just have to be, slightly around it. I'll put the values in the description, just because I don't want to list these off, because that'll take a while. But there's all these EQs. So each one has a different EQ. This one's the SoCal snare, because I liked it a little bit better. And that's a hi-hat, just a little bit of it's very subtle stuff. And then toms, and then actually, I think I put a multiband compressor. There's a multiband compressor here that I put on the toms just to keep them from overshooting, because some toms are sort of like louder and more pronounced than others, which is kind of annoying. But you'll encounter that. If you have like an electronic drum set, you'll find that some drums are louder than others, and it gets pretty annoying. But basically, you find it just like that. You go into audio units, Apple, multiband compressor, and I can show you the values. So yeah, it's just right around there. You can just pause the video and look at it, but there's all the bands. This is probably one of the most advanced things in Garageband. because it shows you, it'll show you the actual reduction that you're getting. So you can see on each band, that that how much it was being reduced by. So yeah, just set that up, just to keep them from certain tones from peaking over others, and yeah, just EQ. A lot of these high pass and low pass filters, just to keep everything, working together and not going over in each other's territory. Is the ride. The ride's really quiet, so you're automatically going to want to turn that up. If you use a ride, you may not be one of those people who likes a ride or whatever. But yeah, you're gonna wanna turn that up. But you never want to turn it up so much that you start to hear this sort of like white noise in the background. That's bad, and you've turned it up too much, so you need like a noise gate or something like that, which will like basically cancel out all the frequencies below a certain number. So there's that. But you never want to have it too loud. But this is perfectly fine. I mean, my guitars could go way louder. Like as you can see, they're not even they weren't even close to clipping, if you remember. But these drums kind of were. So I mean, just level it correctly, and you'll be fine. So yeah, I didn't really do anything with the cymbals, so don't worry about that. I think this is actually the same thing as the hi-hat track. But yeah, I didn't really work on the cymbals at all. I can compressor on it. Whatever. But yeah, it's just it's up to you on what you want to do. Which drum set you want to use. Let's say you might want to use a different drum set, but I like this one. I like this setup. I think it sounds good. So yeah, I'll have the values in the description so you can copy them if you so please. So I'm going to take out this main right here. Okay. So now, another trick that I'm going to show you. This guitar is just nothing on it. No EQ, no effects or nothing. So I call it guitar EQ practice because I'm going to show you an EQ trick on here. So you can just take any one of these little dots right here and click on it, come down here and boost the gain. Okay. You turn this up. And then you can use this as sort of like a scrubber just to go along and, quote, sweep the EQ so that you can find the frequencies that you don't like, and you can cut them out or boost them as you so please. So really it just comes down to your ear at this point. There's no real rules for anything. There are specific places that are known to be good, like for snares. There's certain points on the frequency, points on the EQ that are for specific parts of the snare that'll accent certain parts that you can sort of memorize. I won't go into that, but basically just find what you like. But one of the best rules that I can give you is not to overdo it, because if you overdo it and you have 4 of these guitar tracks up here, it's going to sound like a mess because it's going to be super harsh, it's going to be super loud, and it's just not going to sound good. So you want to play it, you play the guitar, you want to scrub this to where it sounds good. And if you find a place that sounds bad, you just duck it down like that, and you can do this as much as you so please, just to take out more or less or just a specific frequency. But normally it'll branch out in a little area, so I usually do something like that or that. And yeah, you can just do it for however you want. But just keep in mind, like I said before, try your best not to encroach on other instruments' frequencies. If they're similar, like the drums and guitar, like if the guitar is all like a huge in bass, of course it's gonna drown out the drums, but things like snare, snares like peak out, and soaking hi-hat, so you don't have to worry about too much. You don't have to be like super religious with it, um, just do it in moderation, and don't overdo your EQ or anything like that. If you find that your guitar is, just too quiet at times, add a compressor and play with that ratio, because just keep in mind that once it hits that threshold, it's going to go down by that ratio. So you want to keep that at a good part so that it won't like drastically reduce it if it hits a certain point, because it'll sound like really freaky, and you can experiment that with that yourself if you want to see that happen. But yeah, just do it. Subtle things work. There are a lot of subtle things going on here, like the compressor and all that. Very subtle things. They're not really drastic, but as they blend together, they sound good. And finally, the master track. So I just sort of picked this up from a video. Just saw someone do their master track like this, and I was like, that actually might sound kind of good. So I did it. You can do it if you want to. It's just raising, these higher frequencies up from 5K, and then the ones from 100 going up. You can do that if you like. You obviously want to play with this yourself to make sure you're not overkilling the bass or overkilling the highs. But yeah, you can pretty much play with that how you want to, and make it sound good. But I like it because I feel like it sort of like pushes the mix out more. It just has more punch to it. And then so I go from that. That was this EQ right here was the one I just showed you. There's this compressor. I named that, so don't think that's a preset. You can just copy these values. Just pause the video and copy the values if you want. I don't remember what preset I got. I might have edited it. Is that a word? I don't know. Got it from. But yeah, that just sort of like tightens the mix a little bit. And then this EQ is a preset, which I just felt sort of cleaned up the mix a little bit. Again, like you can look at this and you can see how freaking subtle it is. But it really just sort of cleans up the mix. It sounds nice. So yeah, that's pretty much everything you need to know to get a great mix. Just try your best to take these rules on other things like bass. Bass is gonna be around 100 hertz, in the EQ and stuff like that. So don't be afraid to do that, because that's the space that it's meant for. We cut it out of the guitars, we cut it out of other things, so that the bass can have that to shine and the kick drum can have that to shine. So just sort of play it's kind of like a puzzle. You just gotta make the frequencies fit perfectly so that they all gel together and they don't just blow up your mix and blow up your ears with a bunch of noise, that it sounds controlled, that there's order to the chaos, so to speak. Like I said, you can use these tricks on anything. Just use your own judgment. I suggest you record a lot and develop your ear to where you can start to pinpoint those frequencies that sound good. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You're on your way. I mean, it took me a while to learn all these things, just to sort of acquire all this knowledge from YouTube or whatever. But I'm just hoping that I can save you guys time and get you guys on your way. I mean, if you know what you're doing, I mean, a lot of people dog Garageband, that it's it doesn't even count as a recording software or whatever. And they're partially right. But I mean, if you know what you're doing, you're on a budget or whatever, you can definitely do it. Check out my video, What's Metalcore? That was all done on GarageBand. Nothing else. It's just all GarageBand. All the stuff that I showed you here, a lot of the presets are on there as well that I'm showing you right here. So just go check that out if you want to hear like an actual song, put together with these same tricks and tips. So yeah, you can just apply these things to whatever. Vocals. I mean, there are a lot of specific videos about specific things like vocals and snares and stuff like that. And I encourage you to go check those out. But just keep in mind these rules, and it'll save you a lot of time. So yeah, leave a like, subscribe if you want more videos like this, and comment if you have any questions. Thanks.